Welcome to EventUp, the place where people enthusiastic about events stay in the know on the latest trends within the events industry. Live, hybrid, and virtual experiences. From virtual events to conferences, award galas, and everything in between. Here's your host, Amanda Ma.
Welcome, everyone. Get ready for an exciting episode as we dive into the world of Creator Program. Joining us today is Shadi Nair, formerly with the Global Head of Creator Program at TikTok. I know, TikTok, so amazing. Shadi is a seasoned leader in the creator space with global experience. At TikTok, she integrated creators into major cultural events, built diverse communities, and launched initiatives like the Black and Latinx Creative Program and the Creator Portal. Before TikTok, she led creator marketing at Twitch, founding the Twitch Creator Ambassador Program and Twitch Creator Camps. Passionate about women empowerment and diversity, Shadi has supported women entrepreneurship through initiatives like Silicon Valley's first women tech accelerator and mentors for the U.S. Department's Tech Women Program. Her work focuses on inclusion and opportunities for underrepresented communities. She's just amazing. Welcome to the show, Shadi.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
We're very excited to have you here. You're a hard woman to get, so thank you for making time.
I appreciate it. And anything for you, Amanda. Happy to be here.
All right, since you're here, we're just going to dive right in. What led you ultimately at TikTok?
So I'm born and raised in the Bay Area, which is, the center of tech and technology and big tech, all of those big brands, And I kind of grew up around that. My dad was in tech. He was an entrepreneur. And so somehow, without even really wanting to, I think originally I fell into the world and started working in marketing at a couple of different startups and kind of finding my footing, finding my fit early in my career. Thankfully having some really good mentors and guides and people to kind of pinpoint the things that they saw, I was strong at, where I flourished, and developing me. And I went to a startup called Realm, and they were a database company, very technical, but I started working really closely with developers and kind of building community. And that's really where I think my career trajectory kind of shifted and changed. And I realized I love building community. I love thinking about that as a business problem to solve, and how do you do it, either, for the business, for the market of your business, for the people who are helping your business thrive. And I had a really amazing leader there who ultimately put me in touch with one of my mentors, Katie Penn. Shout out to her. She recently left Twitter, actually, as their head of marketing. She hired me at Twitch. So that's really where the creator journey started for me, and thinking through kind of developer and creator communities and how we develop them, how we build them, how we support them. And then a couple years later, TikTok came knocking, which was an incredible and exciting and risky at the time decision to make. And then I joined, and the pandemic hit and TikTok blew up, and it was just such a phenomenon to experience that insane growth, to be able to kind of be at the front lines, to build the team that I built, and see the changes over the years, of how the content on TikTok changed, how the creator ecosystem changed, how the creator ecosystem outside of TikTok changed because of what TikTok and our teams essentially were doing. So that's kind of how it started and how I got here. And really, it's not possible without people like Paul and Katie, who were in my corner at Realm and at Twitch, and really vouched for me and set me up to achieve those things and get the roles and learn more and have the ability to make decisions and expand.
That's so great. We always need the advocates and champions in our lives, right?
Definitely.
The ones who believe in us when we don't even believe in ourselves. So that's great. And you have really evolved in just such big capacity, and such a great leader, and seeing you grow as well in your role has been amazing. And as you witness kind of the industry change over time, how are you seeing like the creator program really evolve this year in 2025?
We've seen kind of how creators have started out as influencers, actually, really, on Instagram and other platforms, and then grow into becoming content creators and grow into becoming a strategic force to both content creation and brand development and, driving kind of culture and driving how people put on makeup and kind of shifting just the way we think about what we do. And I think a lot of people are looking at um, creators and people on these platforms the way that they used to look at celebrities. You look up to them for advice, you look up to them for trends, and you look at them for entertainment value. And you're kind of getting all of that in one package if the creator is doing it right. So I think you see a shift from what traditional celebrities and actors and actresses were doing to this new world of creators and influencers who kind of grown up on these apps and on these platforms and have built now full-fledged careers and aren't it's not just about influencing, it's not just about creating content, but it's about really building from A to Z your whole brand and what that means.
And you're really a true expert at that, right? How about in terms of trends? Like, what are some trends that you're seeing among creators today? Because they also evolve over time, and you're seeing them. You kind of mentioned from influencer to creators now, and how you're thinking like these trends will really help shape marketing that's coming up.
One thing that TikTok taught creators specifically was authenticity is key in creating your content and reaching your audience. And I think now the shift has come to creators wanting that authenticity from the platforms and from the brands that they work with. So from the platforms, they want to see transparency. They want to know how they're getting paid. They want to know how they're going to get money over time. They want to know what the algorithm is going to do and how it's going to support them or how the brand is going to support them. And then from the brands, they want to know, what does the payment model look like? What are you going to actually do to support me if I help you drive X, Y, and Z to your brand? And so I think in the early days of the creator economy, you saw, it was kind of flailing and brands would reach out and some people would make X amount of dollars and other people would make Y, and there were different goals and it didn't really make sense. And there's a lot of people that are actually a former member of my team who started an amazing company called Clara, who's trying to build that transparency into the creator economy and help creators be able to stand up for what they deserve and kind of have, high monetary amount or a success metric to their strengths and what they do.
Amazing. Love that. And then how about in terms of how are creators changing the way brands connect with their audience and run the campaign?
A brand's connection to their audience just becomes more humanized and more authentic through tapping a creator to talk about the brand. I think it builds a lot of trust when you see a real person using a real product. Now, I think there's pros and cons with that. And I think there's the right way of doing it and the wrong way of doing it. And creators have kind of humanized brands and transformed marketing and made the conversation a two-way conversation and allowed brands to be able to see what people are interested in and engage with, but also allow creators to ideally showcase things that they support and that they, would wear or use themselves.
I mean, it definitely works. So I was recently on TikTok, and I think within 15 minutes, I bought a steamer and then I bought a microphone. The videos I'm like, yes, oh wow, it works so well. And it wasn't even like a name brand, like at all. I've never heard of it, but I was like, oh, I'm just gonna take a chance,
I mean, I bought a Dyson vacuum dupe on TikTok Shop and it's great. I love it. And I bought it
Dyson
from
is really
a
good.
creator who I follow and I trust. And so, once they build that trust with you,
Yeah.
and with their audience, and I think a brand can tap into that trust and really get a lot from it because sometimes it's hard to build that yourself.
Yeah. And I would love to, since it was brought up, I would love to build on the conversation when you say when it's done right versus when it's done not as effectively. Can you kind of share some examples with the audience?
The main mistake that a brand makes is giving too many parameters, too much guideline to a creator and not letting them kind of draw. Like, a creator knows best how to engage their audience. That's why they have the followers and the viewers and the engagement that they do. And so when I see a video on my feed and someone doesn't sound like themselves, to me, it clicks right away that they're reading a script and that was given to them by X, Y, and Z brand. And then you lose it. You lose the momentum, you lose the authenticity. And so, if I was to give a brand advice, I would say, let the creator lead the vision, let them lead the conversation. Yeah, you do have to set some parameter. Obviously, you don't want them to go wild and like not talk about your product. But I also have seen things like that work better because it doesn't feel disingenuous and it just flows more naturally. And if a creator can build it into a storyline over time, as opposed to a very specific narrative that you've set, there's potential for it to do a lot more and just feel authentic, which is what I think viewers are looking for these days, and what creators are striving to do to keep them engaged.
And viewers, the audience is sophisticated in the sense that they can tell when they're being sold to versus like, because there's the type of creators that's kind of selling everything and they're just pumping out products versus the other one, they organically already love the brand and they kind of integrate that.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there's such a unique opportunity how that can be communicated as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the opportunity, what is the biggest opportunity that you're seeing in 2025 for brands that are working with creators?
We see a brand kind of tap a creator and ask for a couple pieces of content for a specific item or something as a one-off. And I think brands can really look at kind of building a longer term relationship with creators and utilizing them for a longer period of time. I think it kind of taps into that same storyline of building trust and, showing that it wasn't just a one-off, like, I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm drinking this milk because you paid me for it. But like, I really drink this milk every day. And, I make my coffee with this milk in my video every morning for a year. And you just keep seeing it. And that placement is there. And it's less, I'm not telling you, but I'm showing you. And so I think, a longer term kind of relationship that lasts a little bit longer could be a new way of managing those relationships with creators. I also think, obviously, like this e-commerce world is really blowing up. So how does a brand authentically plug into that? And I don't know if I have the right answer, but thinking about how to do that and like be like leaning in on the e-commerce. If we look at 2025 and we look at what's been coming at the end of this year, we're seeing this kind of AI revolution. So how do brands and how do creators tap into that to maybe create more content, have the content be more engaging, use AI as a tool to kind of animate things or kind of lean into that. I think we're going to see that as a trend potentially in 2025.
Wow, so many. Looking forward to see it all roll out and then we could come back in 2026 and see if your predictions are correct.
We'll see.
And then, Shad, you worked on so many campaigns in terms of like the creator campaigns. I'm sure you have one. Can you share an example of maybe your most successful creator campaign and why made it so successful?
One of the things that I'm most proud of doing was my work in really elevating diversity and our diverse creators. It's a passion area of mine. It's something that I think is very important. And it's something that we worked on and Twitch was behind significantly and funded and was all in on when I was there. And then when I joined TikTok, I really saw a supercharged version of what supporting diversity looks like. And if you look at, 2020 TikTok and the initiatives that and the campaigns that we launched after 2020 to support Black creators, to support Latinx creators, to support the LGBTQ plus community, all of the things that we stood up in that year were then taken, and I don't want to say copied because I don't think they were copied, but they influenced what the rest of the creator economy and the rest of the platforms were doing. And we saw a huge shift, both in just supporting creators, all of them overall. And I think TikTok led that charge, but also in supporting diverse creators and creating a place for them, giving them a voice, and really setting them apart and putting those creators on a pedestal and giving them the opportunity to shine. And I think TikTok led the way, and I'm not biased, maybe a little, but I think TikTok led the way, and just catapulted that industry. And I know creators that will vouch for that and saw a shift and a change for them on the other platforms that they were on. So, while I can't tie it to a specific campaign, I can tie it to a handful of them that were very focused on this, and then a shift in the creator economy, a shift in the industry. And I think for me, if you can make that big of an impact and that big of a ripple effect, that is the highlight of my career for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. That's definitely a huge impact in setting a trend of how it rolls out. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I know we talked a little bit before about, how to do it right and what not to do. In terms of like strategy, do you have any other strategy or tips that you would offer to other successful collaborations for creators just to make it more impactful, right? Just because right now, a lot of people have the same strategy. If you have to say one or two things, what is how should they do this so they could just take your with them and implement it?
I think of it as a relationship, right? You are building a partnership with this person and they're representing your brand. So building a relationship with them is really important because then it doesn't feel as transactional, and you build trust with the creator over time too, which means that there won't be nitpicking on either side when, you're asking for a shift or a little bit extra here, a little bit extra there, because now you have that relationship with them and you can kind of manage those things, manage those expectations, and bring results for both sides. I also think I can't get away from this one, but giving creative freedom to creators. Another area that I think is interesting is creators are so ingrained in the world of the creator economy. They know what's trending. They know who's trending. So I would even tap some of those relationships for ideas on who else they can partner with. Do they have a friend that would be a good fit for and bring an added voice or an added value or an added trust point for the brand or for the event or whatever it is that you're building? So leaning on the creator, not just for the actual task, but for their community and for their network. And I think I tend to kind of fall back on community a lot because that's just my world and something I really deeply believe in. But building a strong community, a strong network with creators, with your audience, with whoever it is that you're working with is ultimately going to make any brand or company successful.
That's great. And how about in terms of tying in with events? You did also a lot of events. Why is it important to ultimately bring it in real life?
I think that touches on kind of that community aspect, right? I think what we saw both at Twitch and at TikTok was that creators are thirsting for community. They're sitting behind their camera, they're sitting behind their laptop, they're scrolling, they're looking for ideas, they're creating content, but it can become a really lonely experience. And the more you can put them in front of one another, the more you can put them in front of a brand, the more you can put them in front of an audience, one, the more opportunity there is for collaboration, like you mentioned, but also more opportunity for engagement and just, develops them in a different way. I think that we really focused on that at TikTok, and we built kind of these niche communities where creators could connect and meet each other. And it also helped us because we got really interesting feedback and we were able to develop TikTok in a more profound way. And build better products and build better features for them because they were able to have those discussions with themselves and with us.
This is not news to anybody. Obviously, creators receive a lot of gifts in the mail from brands, and TikTok is not an exception to that. Can you share a little bit more about like whether or not, why do you guys do that? And is it even successful?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of brands do it and there's different reasons for why. One thing we would hear from creators a lot was they wanted to feel recognized for their work and for the impact that they're making. And we wanted to offer that. And so depending on either if you engaged with us or if you reached a certain milestone or if you had something happening in your life, we wanted to build that two-way conversation and build that relationship. And I think gifting always helps that and helps solidify your brand and helps show that you care. You also have to be really careful about how you do it and when you do it and not overdoing those things, because then to your point, creators and folks are getting a lot of PR packages. They're getting a lot of these things. And so it has to, again, to that theme of authenticity and being genuine, it has to feel like there's a reason behind it that makes sense and that matches them and what they've done. And so we try to be as thoughtful as we can, either being really exciting and fun. And I think one year at the end of the year, we gave away cakes with confetti in them from a small business. I think it was like a women's owned small business. So both supporting some of the small business brands that are on TikTok, but also, doing something fun and engaging and that allows content creation for the creators. And I know, for example, YouTube, and this is very appreciated in the creator community, YouTube does their creator milestone kind of trophies. So when you reach a certain threshold of followers or subscribers, you then get this like standing trophy that you can put on your desk or put behind your, video or whatever it is. And I think the creators appreciate that because it takes a lot of work to get 1 million subscribers or whatever those thresholds are. So part of it is recognition, part of it is delight and bring joy, and part of it is just like bridging kind of your brand and the creator relationship and showing that you value them.
Yeah, I've seen many of those plaques before for sure. Like they'll always hang it, and then a lot of times they'll like include it in their shots. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That recognition is there and they're very proud of it because it is a milestone. So I think that's so impactful for sure.
Yeah.
How about in terms of, we're about to wrap up here, but before we wrap up, what type of advice? You obviously have come a long way, super successful. So many people look up to you. Whenever I talk to you, you're such an enthusiastic and empathetic leader. And I just love chatting with you. Even today, when we were just coming on, you were still talking about how amazing your team is. And I just love that. I love hanging around people that are like that too. So what advice would you give to event professionals or marketers that are looking to incorporate creators into their strategies for 2025?
I think number one, I would say stop chasing follower counts. So it doesn't actually matter if a creator has 10 million followers or 100,000 followers. Focus on creators that align with your values, focus on creators that align with your brand, focus on creators that actually use your products or like your brand and like your tools and would be willing to show up for you over time, build relationships with creators that bring continued value. So creators that understand their communities, creators that have strong relationships and engagement with their communities that can actually see, you can see how things shift when they talk to them. And then I think, bring authenticity, bring excitement to your brand, to your relationships. And I think you know this better than I do, Amanda. On the event side, a little bit of whimsy and fun and like color goes a long way. And I think that's what made our collaborations work really well together, because you would take kind of what made TikTok, but then expand on it and put some glitter on it. And, who doesn't like that? So I think not taking ourselves too seriously and just being kind and nice and open and fair, and slapping on some neon and glitter never hurt anybody.
I love it. And I'm here doing the hand gesture here.
Yeah.
I resonate with everything you just said. Thank you. Question. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. You actually don't even know, but I typically ask about practice self-care, but I feel like I did a lot of that for 2024.
Okay.
And since it's the new year, I'm going to do a little bit different. So it's called the fire session. I'm literally just going to ask you some questions, and you're not supposed to think about it. You're just shoot out a one-word answer.
Okay.
It's easy.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy. Okay. We're going to get started. Okay. Favorite color?
Yellow.
Favorite food?
Mac and cheese.
Favorite vacation spot?
Somewhere on the beach.
Favorite social media platform?
TikTok.
Last but not least, favorite person?
Oh, my mom.
And with that, it's a wrap. Thank you. I love it.
Thank you.
So sweet. Make sure you tell her to tune in.
I will.
These are like the honest.
Yeah, now I can't tell my dad to do it.
So you just tell your mom. Only mom listened to this episode. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
A huge thank you for being with us today, Shadi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, your passion for the creator program really shines through. And it's been great just having this conversation today. I know a lot of people always reach out to you to kind of tap your wisdom in this area. So keep shining, and we look forward to seeing you continue to blossom.
It was so fun to catch up and chat about everything. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time on EventUp.